actually a very, very interesting video. We have Abhishek, who is a pass out EPGP 2023 batch. He's currently working with TVS, and I think without wasting any time, I think Abhishek, take it up. Please tell us about your background. How did EPGP happen? What were you doing before EPGP actually? Yeah, over to you.
Okay, so thank you, Shivam, once again, and it's a pleasure to be here. So I'll just start from not going back a lot, but so I did my engineering in automobile from Manipal. That was back in 2012. I was very keen into going into automotive, especially into two-wheelers. So when I was picked by two companies, one was Mahindra, one was Honda, I picked Honda, and luckily got into the R&D or product development side of it within, I think, the first 2 3 years. And I guess that was it. Like that was more about getting deeper into two wheelers from there, and I didn't see myself getting back after that. At least my interest always stayed in two wheelers. That's how it got built. But eventually, I think after a certain point of time, and specifically like a giant like Honda, you lose that kind of autonomy with respect to some decision makings, especially with respect to business. So I think that was my trigger. That was right after BS6 implementation that happened, and
Mm,
it got a bit monotonous. I started looking out for options, what to do. MBA was, like, I think, last on my list because I was almost with 1 decade of experience.
mm.
So, but I think when I selected one of, like, few of my options, it's I think MBA was making more sense as compared to the other options that I had. One of them, if I can call it out, was actually starting a YouTube channel, which so so you can imagine that whole list. And so, anyways, started preparing for GMAT,
Yeah.
and I guess fortunately got through IMB. So that was, I think, the best case scenario for me. I was already in Bangalore, so not much of movement, not much of changes in that respect. Then I guess EPGP was something that I went in with very few expectations. My expectation was very vague or generic at the start, that I'm probably coming with a very automotive or core industry background. I'll mostly end up in a, a general consulting kind of a role. But again, I think luckily TVS came out all of a sudden, wasn't recruiting
Mm,
before that, and
mm.
group strategy came in, and then they did like shortlist even before placements, even before like me applying to it. And I guess, like, I was just like, in the hindsight now, it's connecting for me that okay, I think I was too fortunate, and plus I think what I expected from the program, I think I got more than that. I wanted to be on that side which makes the decisions, which makes the drive for a company. And I think in the last 3 years, that's what I'm learning to do. And now I'm already in the execution phase of things, at least for a giant like TVS, which has been a game changer. So, like, thanks to EPGP, thanks to a lot of people who were part of this journey, but like, really made a difference for me. So EPGP definitely, like, was a game changer for my career.
That is so cool, right? Because so interestingly, for people, they should know this that this is the first time that we are meeting, right?
Yeah.
And Abhishek was kind enough. He quickly replied to me on LinkedIn and he said, "Let's do it, boss." Right? So, wanted to understand how was the cohort in 2023 in your batch? Diversity wise and function wise, etc., etc. And how was the overall kind of EPGP course like for you?
So I think first on the batch, I think
Yeah,
batch wise, a couple of interesting things, that we were the last batch which stayed outside the campus.
correct.
So that way we had much more informal connect right before, even like right before, like even before starting the course. And probably like staying at Ajmer obviously had that um, like vibe or whatever you can call it. So
Mm.
to get that kind of connections, uh, batch overall, I think it was like this pretty much standard 75 people batch. About, I think we had a decent proportion with respect to industries, with respect to gender, with respect to functions that people have worked in, and even with
Yeah.
respect to the experience. So I guess probably I think one of the gender wise, I think one of the biggest uh, proportion of girls was in our batch, which was about 25 percent to 75, if I remember. Then I think
Mm.
industry wise as well, I think I don't see any major chunk, except for the fact that overall PSU's count was high. But if I divide that, then it wasn't like that, uh, like majority of any particular industry. But I think automotive in our batch was also about 10 people, 10, 12 people. So that was one of the largest
Mm.
chunk. Function wise, I believe, or I would rather say like seniority or of work or experience wise, I think it was between eight or eight and a half something. So I
Yeah.
think most of us were coming with that like mid senior kind of level and expecting probably like to jump into again like a mid senior or a senior kind of role. So that was the
Yeah.
expectation. In
Yeah.
that way, it
Yeah.
was pretty much balanced. So I guess
Mm.
this was on the batch. What was the other one, other
The,
part of the
I
question?
mean, how was the course like? If you remember anything about it?
Yeah, I think like pretty much I think it has remained the same because I've been in touch with other people. I think the first two
Correct.
terms
First two
are
terms.
common and one
Correct.
section, so that obviously helps like build that kind of batch. What do I say? Uh, then I guess next two terms, I think the only thing which has changed, and I think it was us who requested for it, was uh, like the immersion not happening in December anymore, which I think was
Mm.
immediately implemented.
Yeah.
Rather, I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
now I think like we enjoyed much more because most of us were placed. And for
Correct.
you guys, it happens
It
much
happens
before. I
before.
think some stress must be there, but I think like I'm not sure. But that was one thing which has changed perhaps. And I think rest the elective term is pretty much
Everything. Yeah.
like I think yeah, it's the same. And yep, I think Chetan sir has been like a favorite across batches, across courses. So I think that is still there. I think Amar Sapra sir is now the EPGP chair. He was
Yes.
our supply chain prof
Yeah.
for that elective, and like also happens to be my CP mentor as well. So
Correct. Correct.
uh, I think who else? I think yeah, I guess more or less I think I covered a couple of my favorite courses that I
Correct,
remember.
correct, correct. No, I
Yeah,
think overall, I think why I wanted to ask is overall, I think the course has sort of remained the same in
yeah,
terms
yeah.
of
It has remained
structure.
the same.
Subjects might have
Yeah,
changed, but what is interesting is I always kind of look at the kind of batches that we've had, right? And the history of EPGP has always been PSU first, right? And then
yeah,
dhire it has entered with like banking, automobiles, etc.,
correct.
etc. And I mean, just to tell you today, I mean, the batch is super diverse. So we have the PSU folks still, right? We still have the banking folks. We still have the automobile folks. But on top now we have consulting. We now have technology. I think technology was
Yeah.
still there. Develop broadband guys were
Yes,
still
technology
there
was
before.
still there, but I think
Yeah,
consulting was very, very less.
consulting. Yeah,
That's yeah,
and now there is a layer of entrepreneurs also added to it.
yeah.
So
That was also something which was, I think, very, very few. I think two,
yeah,
three people in the
yeah.
batch. Correct.
Correct. So overall, I think that diversity is kind of changing. So I
Definitely
wanted
evolved.
to,
Definitely
yeah,
evolved.
superb,
Yeah.
superb. Anything that so this is one question I always ask, something that you learned inside the class, right? And that you have implemented currently in your work life. Uh, Especially when people say that we are not sure how much MBA really helps you, etc., etc. Anything you can remember from some subject or something?
I think I would not say a subject thing that I've learned, but something that has really helped me and which I honestly really had forgotten before
Mm,
this MBA journey started was asking questions. And I
mm,
think, like, because like once you're working, especially like if I worked for a decade for one single company, you tend to forget that skill. And that, for me, I think that has been it took a lot of time for me to like start participating, start asking questions, and
mm,
like bring that as a habit, because that like clears a lot of things, brings out the curiosity part of uh, like things, as well as like makes things clear at work as well. So I think that
mm,
skill was something which, at least for me, it got revived. And then
mm.
later, especially in TVS, when we have to work with, like, we are basically working like consultants, so we
Yeah.
have to understand with each of these uh, parties or stakeholders that we work with, what are their problems, and to do that you need to ask the right questions. So I
Mm,
think that is one skill I would say that I like relearned in during the EPGP, especially during
mm.
the term 1 and 2 classes, and I
Yeah.
think helped a lot.
Very interesting. One thing now, since I'm also almost at the end of my EPGP, experience, one thing that I think I take away is also the peer-to-peer learning. I think that's a
Definitely,
super
definitely, yes.
intangible, right? Anything that you want to highlight, some stories that you can remember from your friends and
I mean, like again, like as I said, the fact that we were staying outside the campus,
outside. Yeah.
uh, like so, I remember we literally used to have like these, what do I say, like tuition sessions, if you can call that. Like so, like one flat is having around 40 people, and like one CA is teaching you all these, I think
Finance,
financial
FRA.
management and FRA things. Or there's like some guy, like sometimes it used to be me, that who's teaching DS to like 25 people
Mm.
sitting in a packed room. So I guess peer-to-peer learning course wise definitely helped a lot. And I think that's what I was saying, that the batch, while people are competitive, people are like very helpful, and I think connected in that respect, that they help out, and like
Yeah.
knowledge sharing definitely happens. uh, Apart from that, I think a couple of things that I learned was, especially from a few people who were really good at it, was like communication to an audience. I'm like, I'll not call it public speaking, but in
Yeah.
general, like the executive presence, or probably like addressing a senior leadership team or something like that, a couple of entrepreneurs over there, a couple of people who have had similar experiences, and like learning those kind of skills again, like that was something which for me, I can call out specifically, that helped a lot.
Oh, superb, superb. Um, Now, in terms of like, I think when all of us join the MBA program, सबके दिमाग में कुछ ना कुछ होता है कि, I want to get placed in this company, and that's kind of
Yeah.
the sort of the first thing that everyone talks about. Uh, I wanted to talk a bit about like how future applicants should see placements as like a parameter when they're judging any MBA school, right? I think coming from you, I think it'll be very interesting because you have more than a decade now of work experience and you have the post MBA kind of journey as well. So would love you to highlight on that perspective.
So okay. So I think for me, I think placements, like as I was saying previously as well, that I came up with the least possible expectation from the program, that I'm mostly ending up, like the best case I would end up will be some consulting, or probably a couple of players that I had in mind. I don't want to name
Correct.
them, but like that was the plan, that mostly I'll end up here. So I think what my plan, or how I got into things, was again like probably like peer-to-peer learning, getting motivated from a lot of other people, that okay, like if this person can think of um preparing or getting into this kind of role, why can't I?
Why
And I
can't
guess
I? Yeah.
that was more like an organic evolution, which I believe should stay organic. No, like unless
Mm,
somebody is like very clear that okay, I'm doing this because I want to become a consultant, or I'm doing this because I want to become a prod man. If they are coming in with that, I don't want them to change or uh, get swayed away or get confused. But if
correct,
somebody who's coming like me, who is like not very clear, a bit confused, still exploring, I would say let that be a very organic evolution. Be be focused on the learning aspect of things in the term one and term two. Learn from your I think different kind of people that you have in the batch. Learn what they have been doing, what why they are targeting what they are targeting, and probably like then start your prep. I think 2 months is more than enough for any kind of prep that you want to crack, be it case competition. I think that's the most difficult, if I have to say. But even in that, I think 6 weeks is more than enough. That's how, at least I have mentored in the last three batches for people to either crack any TVS role or even like any other role beyond that. So I
correct.
think I've always asked them to focus on the resume, focus on building what they have already done, because that's
Mm,
your story. So if you're confident on that, confident about your previous experience, I think that's 80% of your uh, overall career, like placement prep. I think
correct,
the remaining
correct.
20-25% depends on what kind of role, unless you're going for a complete 180-degree shift or something. In that case, obviously resume can't be the only thing. Like you have to do a lot of other stuff. So I think for me it's for like 50-60% of the batch, which I believe will be coming with a bit of a confused mindset. For them, this is the advice. For the
Mm.
others, I think we can have a one-to-one if needed for a more specific one.
Yeah, no, absolutely, absolutely. I
And
think overall, yeah, you want to say something?
no, no, I was just going to ask you the same thing, that how has your experience been in that?
Yeah, so I think I wanted to be at IIM Bangalore. That was for sure.
Yep.
Placement was not in my priority list, so to say. Of course, it's a very important. I'll be lying if I said कि it wasn't important. But एक आई थिंक वो थोड़ा कॉन्फिडेंस भी होता है कि मतलब यार 6-7 साल काम कर लिया है तो कुछ तो कर ही लेंगे.
कुछ वही.
So that was sort of my perspective. But yeah, you're absolutely right. The overall journey from core courses to electives and all of that grooms you into placement.
Exactly,
So
correct. Like,
that is what I tell
so
the applicants and future batches also. Like, don't stress too much about it because you can't change your
exactly,
past, like you
correct.
rightly said.
Yeah. Like
Absolutely. No, super.
how you leverage that, I think that's the key. That is what you have to learn inside.
Yeah, yeah,
Yep.
yeah. No, now one important question that I always get, and now you are on the other side as a recruiter also, right?
Yep.
Is how do companies view the 1 year full-time residential programs, be it the Ahmedabad PGPX, be the EPGP, MBA EX at Calcutta, right?
Yep.
And the other programs also. How do kind of recruiters see that? Is there any, so to say, discrimination between a 1 year and 2 year program? And how do you also see it as a fellow EPGP student?
Okay, so I think there are three parts to it. So
Yeah,
first is just from a TVS point of view, if I were to answer that. So for TVS, 1 year MBA is the only program that they hire from, at least for from these top tier IIMs.
yeah,
While they go to the new IIMs for the 2 year batches, but they are mostly recruited for like specific sales, marketing, or typical roles which they're looking for freshers.
got it.
So so that way TVS has a very clear uh, what do I say, a preference that they
Mm,
want to go to ISB, B, IMA. They don't go to Calcutta. They, I think, go to Lucknow, and I think they only go for the 1 year thing. They don't go
got
for
it.
the 2 year programs. Then, if I were to talk about core consulting companies, MBBs, and specifically MBBs, they will mostly prefer the 2 years. That's
Yeah.
how the trend is. That's how they're still continuing with. Even if they come for 1 year, it's a very like niche industry specific
Yeah.
experience they're looking for. In that as well, they want less experience, mostly because it requires a lot of travel in those implementation roles. So then, if I were to answer about companies like Accenture or even the Big Fours, they have, I think, now started shifting to, uh, I think, shifting their focus almost equal for both the 2 year
Mm,
courses as well as the 1 year courses. That is what we have seen. So while they go for the mid management role, especially like I think the manager or an associate manager or like whatever is the designation, but that 7 to 10 year they go for the 1 year program and they hire in a lot of I mean like a lot of numbers. So but they still go for the 2 year programs as well in the same IIMs or business schools, and they're
yeah.
still hiring for the analyst associate level whatever they have. So I think that has been a shift. So uh, I think TVS specific I can say is one company which I'm 100% sure that only goes for 1 year
Mm,
programs.
mm. What I've realized is companies that recruit from the 1 year programs want people who can execute from day one.
Definitely.
So,
Yep.
so that is the major difference. Otherwise, discrimination wise, I think only you can say, but I don't think there is anything, right?
Yeah, I mean
It's just I think bucketing students as per
correct, like
age,
it's
work
just
ex.
correct, like it's just part of what kind of role they are looking at. And yeah.
Mm. Very interesting. Uh, Coming back to like the school life, right? At IIM Bangalore, do you remember like the campus, your classes and stuff?
Yeah, man, like
Anything you want to talk about that?
N201 is like a whole story. I think there can be like a book written on it by
Yeah,
75 people with different stories. I
yeah,
think like overall, like if I were to say, obviously, like one of the best 10, 11 months that you spend, and like after coming up with an extensive experience, be it 6 years or 10 years or whatever, uh, that gives you like that. While it teaches you a lot, it gives you a lot of learning, it gives you the much needed break that you're looking for. Break from I think your usual social life, your usual family life, and like you enter into this whole new network.
yeah.
And and most of the people get out with a really good uh, what do I say, a bunch of
Outcome.
friends,
Yeah,
like a network that will always be helpful, uh, like stories that you'll always remember. So I guess like it's like the whole 8 whatever 10, 11 months is
yeah,
like a time that you will never forget. Like now you are almost on your last day,
yeah,
so I think you will be feeling that much more. Like for us it used to be like after like after the course was done, we used to find like I mean like random ways of just meeting up, because like that used to keep us sane or whatever, like at least for the first few months when you are really like feeling that like gap that
yeah.
it has created. But I think like definitely like a really good break, a really good relief from your usual normal that you are coming from. Plus, you get that IMB tag, EPGP, a new career. So a lot of good things that happen along with that. So, yeah.
Oh, lovely. Uh, you spoke about like network and relationships, right? Now, how do you think you have benefited, or you can think of ways that your peers have benefited through like our alum and I am Bangalore in general, I think, as a network.
So, like at least for now, I haven't directly benefited in terms of a professional growth
Yeah,
kind of way. But
yeah.
uh, for example, if I just need I'm working on something which requires something from another industry, I can literally
Mm.
like fall back on that alum group, just ask if who is working there. And
Ah,
I think within the first 10-15 minutes you'll get somebody in your DM whom you can like discuss anything on that topic, or like you
Very
will
interesting.
find people within, like that is the quick response, and this is like after 3 years of the course. So, and like it, and that's a network irrespective of the program. That's not a program, like it's a program agnostic network. So it can be
Yeah.
an EPGP folk, it can be a PGP guy, it can be a PGPM person. So I think that way is like one way of getting that benefit, that you want to understand something that you directly don't know about, or you don't have a direct person to talk, and you don't want to waste time on the internet or finding somebody on LinkedIn. Just do it on a WhatsApp group. Beyond that, obviously, like if you want to refer somebody, if you want to understand a kind of what do I say, a role that has been posted, or if you want to understand, if you are in general confused about your own role that you are in, I think there are 50 odd people whom you can talk to, chat with. Again, like this, the same network helps. So I think for any kind of problem, that is something which at least I've used the first option the most, the first, what do I say, problem solving, that I've used the most. Others I haven't, but I'm sure people have, at least
Mm.
friends have. And I think definitely a really rich network that you can always rely on.
Oh wow. I'm super excited actually to become an alum also, and kind
You
of
are part of the network now, so now
yes,
people will
now I
ask
am.
you that, like how you got into this new role that came up all of a sudden for the first time in APGP. So you will be that guy now. A lot of people will be reaching out to
Yeah,
you.
yeah,
So be ready for
absolutely.
that.
Lovely. I think so TVS is actually like one of the most sought after roles companies in EPGP specifically. And since like we discussed, a lot of automobile folks are here. Uh, can you shed some light on, how has it been for you from transitioning from your background EPGP and now TVS, and then you're seeing like next couple of batches also kind of coming in.
Yep.
Even in our batch a few of us have been will join TVS very soon.
Yep.
How do you see that relationship, and how do you see us also growing over there?
So as I was like in my intro, I said like it was a very fortunate thing that
Yeah,
TVS was like came for the first time. Then even the group strategy team, which is a pretty new team, which is part of the chairman's office, that also came in and I got through. So for me, that journey like a dream. Like if you're
yeah,
coming with a core engineering background, with a lot of NPD project management skill, and then you directly move into something which is like building long-term strategies, which is like nothing to do with products for most of your day. So like that was nothing short of a dream. So in the last 3 years, I think I have done every core MBA course that was taught to me, be it with respect to strategy, be it with respect to building GTMs, be it with respect to org structuring that was taught in our, I think, design of organization, or uh, DS with respect to like, I think, building some correlations, doing that particular analysis and bringing down the cost. So I think one of the most perfect, I think for me, this last 3 years have been more of actually applying some of those MBA courses hands on some of the live things that are actually turning the business into something better. So definitely one of the best, I think, placements that I could have got after EPGP was this particular role. But I think in general, TVS right now for automotive folks, the kind of roles that are offered, the overall quality of work is really good. The overall culture right now is really good. It's under the leadership of somebody who is our age. So you
mm,
can see how the company has transformed from a very traditional Indian OEM to a rather uh, a very corporate global MNC kind of a culture, with a lot of focus on work life balance, with a lot of focus on your own self development. So I think
yeah,
any role that is offered by TVS, I think I'll be more than happy. Like I have been hand holding a lot of people across the last three batches after I've joined here, and I'll mostly continue to do that. But whatever role happens, whatever role is offered, I'm very sure it will be a really good transition from anybody coming from a core automotive role into going into the business side of things. So
Oh,
yeah,
lovely, lovely. Superb, superb. I think we're almost at the end.
hmm.
Uh, Two questions. Okay.
Yep.
One, actually, more like thoughts, right? One is what message would you give to the incoming batch who's going to be joining from 24th March, I believe? Uh, any kind of
Okay.
message you want to give them?
I just want them to like enjoy the next 11 months, not to worry a lot about what's at the end of it. And I think that's a lot of people do, and they end up not getting the best out of these 11 months. So I just
Yeah,
want them to have it in the most organic way, be it networking, be it friendships, be it learning, be it the placements, like evolve, and it will organically happen. That I'm very sure. Like if you just
yeah,
leave it
yeah,
to the
yeah.
course, leave it to your personality, leave it to the batch, it will happen. So I think that's the message. Just take it easy, just have fun, learn, and like go, like leave with a good bunch of friends or people that you can always rely on.
Superb,
So
superb.
that's one.
And next would be what is your message to? So a lot of people actually see these videos to understand more context about the EPGP program, who are applying for the first time. So any message for them, something that they should know that maybe the information is not out there, something that you want to talk about.
See, I think the only message here, I'm not sure if the audience is uh, aspirants preparing. So I
Yeah.
think for them, it is like 1 year MBA courses are the most misunderstood, or probably what do I say? I think misunderstood courses,
Mm.
and like not really like seen as that executive program, which is like sound super easy or something.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
not. It's basically the 2 year MBA shrink to 1 year. So if you're
Absolutely.
planning for that, I like, if like definitely see that in your overall career journey, at least like 5 to 6 years after your initial stint in your career, definitely plan a 1 year MBA. That is like something which I always suggest, that
Yeah.
this is something which will always benefit you, but time it well. Like
Mm.
I almost did it after a decade of experience,
Mm.
but I think the right age is somewhere between 5 to 8 years.
Yeah.
So if somebody is watching this in that zone, a bit confused about career, give your GMAT, or like get into one of these courses, be it PGPX or EPGP, anything, and this, like, you will be like doing yourself a lot of good, what do I say, service to your career, to your overall personality. I think
I agree.
really good.
I agree. I completely agree. Any parting thoughts specifically around our program EPGP at IIM Bangalore?
I think like hands down one of the best campuses to be in.
Yeah, yeah,
We
for sure.
It's like it's a very well structured program. You have like the best part of it, which I say almost to everyone, is the batch size. The fact that like for 6 months, almost 6 months, I mean 5 months, the whole batch sits in that one class and not
Yeah,
in two different sections. That's the whole uh, reason for the whole unity that forms the whole, like the bonding that happens. So I think that way EPGP is by far the best 1 year programs in India right now. So definitely, like everyone, like if anyone who is watching this should consider preferring this over any other 1 year program.
superb. Thank you so much, Abhishek. I
Yeah,
hope I did not take a lot of your time. Thank you so
no,
much
you
for
did not,
doing this.
and I'm glad we did. I'm glad to be connected with you. We missed meeting
Yeah,
in campus, but I guess
in
like
campus,
we'll continue to
we'll stay in
network and
touch.
see like how we can help other people as well, beyond
Absolutely.
this. And like really good
Absolutely.
thing that you're doing, and all the best for
Yes.
your next stint. I think when is it starting, by the way?
So it's going to start on 5th of April.
Okay,
Very, very soon.
so I guess
Sixth is my first day.
take a good vacation. That is my only suggestion. Like probably like go for like a week or 10 days. Just that would be helpful. Otherwise, just
Yeah.
stay with your family, whatever helps.
Yes. Super.
Cool, man.
Thank you.
Nice
Thank you
talking to
so
you.
much.